just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this.
Well, I guess he can get dumber because the latest gaffe out of the Biden administration is, if you've been paying attention, we let loose one of the most prolific arms dealers in the world, the merchant of death, and traded him for a black gay professional basketball player who got arrested for illegal drugs in Russia. Now, whatever your feelings about illegal drugs are, or drugs in the United States of America in general are, it doesn't really matter, because in Russia, she broke the law and got a 9-year prison sentence. Now, the weird thing about this is, guys, if you're paying attention to a lot of this stuff, then you will know that the rhetoric coming out of this administration every single moment of every day is 100% hypocrisy. Because this administration, for all it does and says, and how dangerous firearms are, and how dangerous rifles and semi-automatic rifles and 9mm pistols and all that other stuff, as dangerous as it is in the hands of veterans, cops, regular people just trying to protect their family, as dangerous that are, I guess it's not dangerous because he let loose one of the most prolific arms dealers in the world. A guy that sells rifles, pistols, missile systems, explosives, armored personnel carriers in Africa, in Asia, in South America, and he did all of that stuff. The Biden administration let him walk. And he let him walk to the country who, in Biden's words, is run by a war criminal, Vladimir Putin. So now he made a deal with a war criminal and traded one war criminal to another war criminal, both of who are using arms, ammunition, and supposed dictatorship to oppress other people. So now I guess that it's going to be a joyous day in Moscow. Brilliant! What I find quite disingenuous, though, is as Biden is making his little speech talking about how Mr. or Miss Grinder is being treated over in Russia in deplorable conditions, unjustly convicted. The Vice President Kamala Harris, you're so good, Joe. But meanwhile, as the state's attorney for the state of California, she convicted thousands of people for the very crime that Brittany Griner was convicted of in Russia. She prosecuted people in California for weed and put them in prison, some of them as long as decades. So if the Biden administration is going to say that she was unjustly detained and incarcerated and convicted in Russia for weed, then I guess the former state's attorney in the state of California ought to be a big apology to her, don't you think? So I guess Biden really doesn't think that guns are a problem because he has no issue whatsoever sending hundreds of billions of dollars of our arms, ammunition, and weapon systems to the Ukraine. Brilliant! To another dictator. He has no problem whatsoever leaving $90 billion of our latest and most sophisticated military hardware to the Taliban. Brilliant! He has no problem releasing an international arms dealer so that he can go and do God knows what in the future. Brilliant! But the problem in the world today is the American gun owner. We're the problem because, these weapons have no place in a society. Well, I hope you guys in the international boundaries can thank our illustrious president. I hope you can thank our illustrious administration. So, moving forward, any rhetoric about gun control, any rhetoric about, nobody in America needs firearms, you guys know that he is absolutely 100% hypocritical and 100% out of his mind, 100% out of his league, and 100% anti-American. And I hope that you understand that any of you lefties out there for voted for Biden, any of you people out there that think he's this wonderful president and how consistent he is with liberty and how smart and intelligent he is, why don't you articulate to me how that's the case? Why don't you articulate to me how he wants to take firearms away from the American people and then gives them to everybody else across the world with American taxpayers' dollars and then literally releases the most prolific international arms dealer on the planet for a professional basketball player? Articulate that to me, please. And don't use your feelings. Use some facts. I hope this video made your weekend. I know that I'm going to be laughing hysterically when Putin and the merchant of death are toasting some vodka. Nastrovia, boys.